Big, bigger, biggest.
On today's show, the Simagic Alpha Ultimate Wheelbase. I'm Sean Cole, this is the Simpit, and today we're here to take a look at the Simagic Alpha Ultimate Wheelbase. This is the big dog in the Simagic lineup, and this wheelbase puts out 23 Newton meters of power and costs about $1,100 depending on where you're ordering it in the world. But is that enough to make it the ultimate? Let's find out. If power, or more specifically Newton meters, is how you first judge a wheelbase, then this just might be the ultimate. If you do the math, at $1,100 for 23 Newton meters, you are paying only $49 per Newton meter. By comparison, a Fanatic Podium is about $60, and a Leo Bodner is a whopping $150 per Newton meter. So bang for buck or power for buck, it just might be the ultimate. Now luckily, there are more features in the wheel that you get for your money than just the power itself. I got the Simagic Alpha Ultimate Wheelbase from Ricmotech. They are the North American supplier of these wheelbases. And when you unbox the Ultimate, it comes nicely tucked into cutout foam shapes. Along with the base itself, which is very heavy, there's a warranty card, 2 different USB cables, 2 bags of mounting hardware, and a big 360 watt power supply. Along with the base, Ricmotech also sent me a front or bottom mount, as well as the Simagic side mount. This is a PC-only wheelbase and will work with any of the Simagic wireless wheel rims that are sold separately. This is the base on its own. The Alpha Ultimate by Simagic has many of the features as its little brother. It just does it in a much larger shape with a lot more power behind it. It's still the same CNC machined aluminum with a nice black finish on it, just longer. The case, or the box of the Alpha Ultimate, is very trim in width and height, coming in at only 11 centimeters in both directions. However, this wheelbase is very long, measuring in at 23 centimeters for the case and 33 centimeters end-to-end, including the base side of the quick release. The wheelbase is also very heavy, weighing in at 10.5 kilograms or 23 pounds. The Alpha Ultimate has a square shape to it, with a flat bottom that has 4 lower mounting holes in the Fanatic pattern. On the left side of the case is the USB plug-in point and the power supply with that very simple AC adapter style plug that I like. On the right hand side is the plug-in point for the emergency stop and the USB interface. Running down the sides along the top of each side is a slight step-in shape, and then 2 side mounting holes for the Simagic Alpha side mount that costs $85 and allows for 35 degrees of adjustment in 5-degree increments. On the top of the base is the Alpha Ultimate logo, which is the only visible markings other than on the front. At the front is a thick aluminum square plate with 4 M8 threaded mounting holes at 92 millimeters apart. The Ricmotech universal mount goes for just under $100 and then mounts to the Fanatic triangle pattern on many rigs. Dividing that big plate and the actual quick release is a round cover with a carbon fiber plate, along with a tiny Simagic logo and the power on light for the base. Extending off the front of the base is that steering shaft. It starts with a machined aluminum spacer, and on the end of that, the wheel side of the NRG style quick release. At the center of that quick release is the V-shaped connections for the power to the wheel. The data is transferred from the wheel to the base when using a Simagic wheel via 2.4G wireless. Inside of the case is the 5-pole servo motor driven by onboard 200 MHz processors offering 1 millisecond response time. Overall, it is a low-profile design in both shape and styling. The base is not screaming out, "Hey, look at me," but it definitely looks indestructible. So to keep track on our score of is this the ultimate wheelbase? Well, we've got big power to cost ratio. We've got nice construction. We've got great mounting options, including one that's absolutely free. And then we've got that NRG style quick release. So that's 4 different options or 4 different points on that score tab of ultimate wheelbase. Now when it comes to mounting this wheelbase, the whole Simagic family of wheelbases are very easy to deal with because for starting point you've got those 4 Fanatic pattern bolts on the bottom, meaning it's going to work on most rigs out there. Now with that said, this is a giant aluminum case, which means it's also one giant heat sink. And most of the side and front mounting options that we covered technically allow for better cooling. But this was so easy on my R seat and kept things very low profile and looking clean. As I mentioned earlier, the Simagic Alpha Ultimate Base at $1,100 is the base only. Now it can be purchased as a bundle from Ricmotech for about 10% savings with most of their wheel rims. Which leads me to another great point about Simagic, which is their great selection of wheel rims to choose from. Now I'm using their original wheel rims, the GT4 as well as the GT1, but I will say that their selection of wheel rims continues to get even better, and their new wheel rims are even cooler than the ones that I'm using now. But as an example, the base with this GT4 carbon rim would be $1,549 or $1,459 for the GT1 wheel in round or flat bottom version that we'll be testing with. All of the wheel rims include the wheel side of the NRG style 10 bearing quick release with wireless connectivity pins in the hub. Just getting back to our scorecard on is this the ultimate wheelbase? You've got 2 more things you can add to that tab or list, one being wireless connectivity, the other being great selection of wheel rims to choose from. Now when it comes to software for the wheelbase or any of your Simagic gear, you can get that at the download section of the Simagic website. It is a one-and-all software that goes by the name SimPro Manager and is constantly getting updates and refinements. We've covered this software in great detail in our Alpha Mini and our Alpha base reviews, so we'll keep this part brief. The main tabs of the software go down on the left-hand side. It opens the main or home tab, and right here you can launch your favorite sim, verify operation of your gear, and make basic baseline adjustments to the wheel. The next tab down is for the games that the software will recognize on your system. The following tab is the Devices tab, and this shows you all of your Simagic gear across the bottom and allows tuning of each on their relevant tab. Everything is right here for those with more than one piece of Simagic gear. When it comes to the wheelbase settings, you can preload settings for all of your sims and then make fine-tuning adjustments to your desire. There are also cloud-based setups from others that can be loaded, and you can save any customized setups you make for later use. The final tab is the Options tab to verify your version and update the software. My SimPro Manager immediately recognized the wheelbase and did a firmware update on the spot. I just had to say yes and allow this to happen automatically. Very easy to use. With the wheelbase mounted to my R seat, with the wheel rim put upon the wheel and the software up and running, it was time to take this thing out on track and see how the Ultimate performed. For me, with these companies, we've seen more of this recently, going to this NRG style quick release. They've really won me over right from the start. It's simple, it's kind of fun to activate, and it's super strong. It's wireless, and it's legit enough that they use it in real race cars. Enough said, the quick release is great. When driving a car and testing a wheelbase, we cannot avoid that thing in our hands, that critical contact between the driver and the tires on the ground, that being the wheel. Well, we aren't here to test the wheel, but its connection in terms of strength are critical as it's part of the system. This entire setup is very strong, and one of the reasons why we drive direct drive wheelbases. The base itself, to the steering shaft, to the quick release, and into our hands is so strong and robust. Basically, this wheel combination will test any rig's overall strength as it is heavy and super strong. The wheel's rotation is very smooth, but with stock settings, I found it to have a bit more friction than I like. I did lighten up the damper and frictional settings, and it brought a bit more life to the wheel. This only affected the smoothness in that it now has less drag, but is just as smooth turning. The force feedback power of this wheel is beyond my strength. In the SimPro software, I ran the Ultimate at 75%, which is the optimal for an electronic motor. And in iRacing, I set my strength at about 4%. This had me nowhere near clipping at any time, and a really good usable amount of force feedback at the same time. Not too light to miss effects, and not too strong to overpower me while driving. That still left about 15 Newton meters of power in reserve. There is no cogging or steps that are felt in the wheel's movement, and it maintains consistency in its force feedback delivery lap after lap. Another plus to the Simagic system, regardless of base, is the wireless connection and no wraparound cable to annoy me. This also includes the ability to instantly change wheels if you have more than one. It is also during the driving phase that I appreciate the low profile of the base itself. For many sim racers, our deck height of the rig plus the height of their base will determine the height of their monitors as we tuck our wheels under them for the best field of view. Sometimes larger bases and cumbersome mounts might push the monitor height higher than we actually want. This is as low profile as it gets. Well, I think that tells you everything that you need to know about the Simagic Alpha Ultimate Wheelbase. I mean, there are so many things about it that carry over from the Mini and the Alpha models. This one is just bigger, badder, stronger, whatever you want to say. But in case you missed it, let's go ahead and focus on the most important aspects of the review with the good, the not so good, and the bottom line, starting off with the good, that being a powerful wheelbase. Smooth, fast reading, rigid and strong, nice finish, included premium e-stop, wireless connection to Simagic wheels, 3 different mounting options, NRG style quick release, low profile, fits under most monitors, save multiple profiles, good selection of wheel rims to choose from. And now on to the not so good. It is an expensive wheelbase. It's right in line with other direct drive wheels of its power. Proprietary wheel rims only. Wiring coming out of the sides, a little different. Will require a strong rig. And now on to the bottom line. Let's start with the mounting options. 3 different legitimate mounting options. Thank you, Simagic. I really appreciate that you gave us a bottom mount that mounts into a conventional pattern that is so commonly used on the market. That is great. For those who do want a little angle adjustment, the Simagic side mount is a great option, giving you that 35 degrees in 5-degree increments. It's not too expensive. And then you have a whole variety of front mounts that work on that pattern because it is one of the common patterns for direct drive wheels. So kudos to Simagic for making mounting of a direct drive wheel base as easy as anybody in the industry has ever done it. Beyond that, I think I do have to almost give a warning to anybody who's considering any wheelbase that is getting into this power range. 23 pounds of weight, 23 Newton meters of power, your arms fighting against those forces. It is going to test even a strong rig. I mean, my R-seat held up fine. Most DIY rigs will hold up fine, but this is a lot of wheelbase and maybe even more wheelbase than a lot of sim racers need. Also, looking back to our Simagic Mini and our Simagic Alpha wheelbase reviews in the past, their software does continue to get better with each update and each generation. They've added those cloud-based setups, which is a really great starting point for people. I did have a little trouble using it, but again, these are features that are being implemented and added with each change of the software. I also love the way they did the one stop. If you have a bunch of Simagic gear, being able to make all the adjustments on just one tab of one piece of software was really slick, and not everybody else can accommodate that many pieces of gear in one piece of software. So at the beginning of the show, we did put to the question, is the Simagic Alpha Ultimate Wheelbase the ultimate? Can it live up to that name? We did have 6. We did have 6 good, solid reasons. We had our entire The Good list to add to that. But in the end, I think it's up to you. You're going to have to decide for yourself, is this the ultimate wheelbase? I think we've made a pretty decent argument for it. If you want to check out more, get more information on the Simagic Alpha Ultimate Wheelbase, you can find it at simmagic.com. You can also find it at ricmotech.com, the North American supplier of these wheelbases, and I like to thank them for sending this one over here for review. So that's going to do it for this show. I hope we told you everything that you need to know. If you enjoyed the show, give it a big thumbs up. If you want to find out when our next review comes out, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and most of all, thank you for watching. This is the Simpit. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track.